Hello, our lovely, valued Patreon supporters. Thanks for joining us for the spoiler talk for Trust Exercise by Susan Choi. There is so much. I fucking can't even. I don't even know how to say how much of the conversation needs to take place in spoiler. It's a lot. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to sort out. So hopefully you've read the book and you're trying to figure things out with us. If not, you just don't care about spoilers and you just want a more well-rounded understanding of what's going on in the book because you're not really sure you're going to read it, but you want to know what's going on. Either way, we appreciate you joining us, and let's figure out what the fuck is going on with this book.
All right, so I want to preface this by saying we'll talk about this. I'd like to talk about this as first part. We know that as the first half, right? That's Sarah, the book that Sarah wrote. Yeah. The second part, which is Karen, kind of convincing us that she's not the person she was portrayed in the book. And then the third part, which is only like 4 pages long, right?
Yeah.
I want to go back to something that you said in the podcast, and I'm just going to ask you to just explain yourself. So you said Mr. Kingsley comes off one way in the first half.
Yeah.
But then you said in the second half, and that could be part 2 or 3, and feel free to elaborate. What do you feel we find out about him that's not kosher from part 1?
So here's my understanding, and this absolutely could be wrong. In part 1, Sarah depicts a weird relationship between Mr. Kingsley and that boy who can sing really well.
Manuel, I think. I could be wrong, but I believe that's him.
That shit never happened based on what happened in the second part, where Karen was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I have a feeling that Mr. Kingsley actually kind of like molested chicks, and Sarah was one of them.
That's interesting. So I noticed, I knew that the Manuel thing, she says, yeah, there was no breakout singer from our class. She even goes through the 3 air quotes Hispanics.
Yep.
That were in their class or involved in that time frame or whatever. That's kind of interesting. I didn't think about that. So all right, so good. I got you on that. What happened at the end?
Oh, when he totally like molested fucking Karen's daughter.
But that's not Kingsley, right?
Yeah.
You think that's Kingsley?
It's Kingsley.
Huh. And it's not Karen's daughter, right? Or it's Karen's daughter.
Oh, did I say Karen's?
Yeah.
I meant to say Karen's daughter.
Okay, yeah. So I want to go through this book and see if I understand this story. This story is told to us for some unbeknownst reason through another book that's written about this school. Halfway through the book, we move forward 15 years to Karen, who willingly had a relationship with Martin.
Yes.
Wanted to go see him in London. She got pregnant by him. He blew her off in London.
Yep. She
goes off to some kind of weird Christian monastery or something to have her baby. And then fucking kills him over it 15 years later?
Yes. Well, she shoots him in the dick.
I'm sorry, but yeah, yes, I'm sorry. She didn't necessarily kill him. I know I put jilted murderess in as her description. Yeah, I guess we don't know that he's dead. But she shoots him a second time, too, I think. Does she not shoot him twice?
There are 2 shots. One definitely is in the dick. It's unclear where the second shot goes. But it's the kind of shot that lets him at least agonize over the fact that he got shot in the dick.
Okay. So this whole story really is a revenge story about... I get that she's a teenager, I'm not whatever, but a willing participant who then kills the guy that she had sex with 15 years ago.
Because he blew her off when she went to London.
Yes. And then we see her daughter, who then gets attacked by Mr. Kingsley.
Right, the rock star teacher.
And... A secretary in the fucking office notices the strong resemblance between her and Karen?
Yeah.
That's the last part, right?
Yeah.
What the fuck did I just read?
I don't. And that's the thing. Like, I was trying really hard to make sure I understood everything that was going on. Because, like, when you get to 50%, it's literally 50% into the book that the perspective very rapidly shifts from Sarah and her little memoir or whatever it is to Karen kind of reperspectivizing what actually happened, right?
Right, yeah.
Leading up to... And the only thing... Here's what I'm going to say. The only thing that's very believable about this whole thing is that if anybody was going to go through all of this fucking nonsense for what happens at the end, it's fucking theater people.
Never mind, 5 stars. That's you hit the nail on that. It's the one part that I missed. This all makes perfect fucking sense now. Holy shit.
But that adopted chick stuff in the last 10%. So, like, I know that you texted me and you're like, I'm at 90%. I'm almost done. So I know that after that text, whatever happened after that was you reading.
I had literally
Claire.
stopped. Here's what happened. I sent you a picture. I was drinking the other night, and I got to the point where I was getting a little woozy, and I was like, all right, I don't want to finish this book and like fucking not remember. You know what I mean? So I was like, I'm going to stop here. This is a clean break. It's one of like 4 chapter breaks in the whole fucking book. And I put it down, and yes, I picked it up, and I had not started reading Claire when I had sent you that message. I had just picked up the book, and I'm like, I'm at 90%. I'm gonna knock this out. Trying to reframe this in my mind, and I just really feel like it was a lot of pages to not tell a lot of story.
No, and that's the thing. Like, nothing much happened. I'm doing the same thing. So let's talk about the Claire part of the story, which is Claire is the daughter of Karen, who in Sarah's part of the book was named like Joelle or something, maybe, if I remember proper. It doesn't fucking matter. Anyway,
Karen was named Karen, but Karen was also saying that a couple of the other characters were also based on her, almost like she was split into like
her
multiple.
Personality was like broken up.
Yep.
Sorry, Karen was Karen, but Karen in the Karen part is not Karen. She's someone else. That's what it is.
So her daughter with Martin, who's the British version of
adult
Mr.
teacher
Kingsley.
guy. Yeah.
See, this is where it gets weird, and I'm totally buying what you're saying. I'm on board. But like Kingsley kicks Liam out. No, he kicks Martin out too after that party, because Martin winds up staying with Karen and Karen's mom for like the week or whatever they have left. So, I'm trying to think if this Kingsley guy is indeed straight and just like railing high school girls. Like, wouldn't he be more sympathetic to Martin's?
I don't know, because like he could be keeping up a facade, and like he could also be like weirdly bisexual, like a bisexual rapist. I don't know what's going on, but like
he could be. I'm just trying to think though of why Sarah. So if he's been doing but then again, I guess we don't know, because there's really not a strong implication that Sarah was involved with him, right? Other than, everybody wanted to be his pet.
Right. Like you said at the beginning of the book, like he basically set out, who was cool, who was not, blah, blah, blah. But because he was gay, you figure out some part in the first part, you don't think there's anything harmful about it because like, oh, he's just like gaying it up with his husband or whatever. So this is why the book fucking fails, like pretty significantly, is because like it's introduced. First of all, when part 1 ends, you realize, oh, this book is the first part of the book is a book that was written by Sarah, and she changed everybody's names. So now you don't know.
I want to stop you for a second. That was probably the most buy-in I had to this book. Is I got to 50% and I was like, oh, okay, so now we're going to deal with like how different people remember things or how people represent themselves.
Right.
Like I felt, you know what I mean? Like I was like, oh, okay, this is going to pick up.
It did not pick up.
No. And the Karen stuff was written so hard. There were times where I was forgetting she was writing about herself because she's referring to herself as Karen, although her name's not Karen. Like I don't know, man.
Yeah, well, that's where it all falls apart because like in the first part of the book, in the Sarah part of the book, primarily it's written from her perspective, but from a third person, like Sarah does this, Sarah does that. But sometimes it's first person from Sarah, sometimes it's first person from David, I believe, if I'm not wrong about that. And that carries through to like the second part of the book where it's from Karen's perspective, but usually it's third person, but sometimes it's from Karen's perspective, and really fucking sloppy. where like sometimes it's like I did this, I did that, and other times it's like Karen did this, Karen did that, and it's like it was very sloppy.
I want to call additional bullshit on Karen. So first of all, I really thought that we would go back and finish the story from the high school standpoint.
Yeah.
And we didn't. And this is part clever, part stupid. We didn't because Karen never got past half the book. So she mentions a couple times that she only read half of it, which, interestingly enough, we stop mid-story in Sarah's story and we go to Karen giving her reflections. Now, here's what I'm going to call bullshit. If I'm a character in a book, I'm going to read the whole fucking book if I'm going to read it at all, right? Like if I got to halfway, I'm going to put in the extra 3 hours to finish the rest of it. But it's her way of not ever ending the story at the high school.
Right.
And it's so fucking disjointed. Like I go back to what I said before. It's an awful lot of books for it to be a revenge tale about a jilted teenage girl. And like I said, I get that she was 16 and yeah, some whatever 35, 40-year-old, whatever professor from England shouldn't be having sex with her. I'm not saying that that's okay. I'm just saying that clearly her own indication is that it was consensual, which I get it. There's the authority power. I understand all that. Mm-hmm. But from a character standpoint, Karen talks about how fucking sad she was that she went all the way to London and he you know, whatever, bailed on her, ghosted her, whatever. Like, I get it. And then there's, in my opinion, there, other than the fact that a gun is introduced, because when that gun was introduced, and they actually acknowledge that in this, that rule of if you're going to introduce a gun in the first act, you have to shoot somebody in the second act. I was like, well, we know someone's getting fucking shot because they're making way too big a deal about this gun. But there was nothing that really led me to believe that Karen was in that mindset to shoot this guy. Like, I didn't see that coming. I knew someone was getting shot on accident, on purpose, something. And I was like, all right, well, this is going to continue to develop. Sarah's going to show up, and that's going to be a catalyst because David's going to see Sarah after 15 years, something. Not what I was expecting. And when I say that, not in a good way. I felt like it came out of nowhere.
Well, they shoehorned in the idea that she was pregnant in that little weird vignette of them going to England and like her being ditched and finding out she's pregnant all at the same time. Obviously, that's traumatic.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not trying to belittle her experience.
However, the amount of times she references therapy should have wiped out any need for her to shoot someone in the dick, right? Like she's the only character in the entire book that talks about therapy, and she's the one that shoots someone in the dick for blowing her off when he doesn't know that he got her pregnant.
Yeah,
that doesn't make any fucking sense. It just makes Karen an insane character.
I don't want to move out of canon for this book. I'm not thinking that was going to improve Martin's situation any or like his outlook on anything, and I don't know. But in my mind, he'd probably not just have done that. He probably would have left London altogether. So
sure, but he didn't get the chance to know to make the decision. Like she didn't give him the chance to be the piece of shit that she assumes he is when she shoots him in the dick.
Yep. Did her father fucking strip her down and spank her when she was 16? Because I feel like that happened.
Wait, who?
Karen's father, before taking her to the weird all white Christian adoption center.
He stripped her down. I didn't get that.
I am fairly certain. I'm gonna circle back with you on that because I'm pretty sure I could pretty easily find it in the book. Sure. But yeah, something. Yeah.
But then, all right. Like, can we just agree? There was the first half, the second half, and then the last 10%. Like, we just agree that the last 10% doesn't make any fucking sense at all.
Yes, for sure.
It's Karen's daughter. In whatever the distant future, trying to find out who her mom is.
Mm-hmm.
When her adoptive mom dies, trying to figure out who her mom is, goes back to the school, which the only reason that I say Mr. Kingsley is the like rapist dude of part 3 is because she keeps insisting he was the teacher. Right? That's the only really that's the only thread that connects anything. So either she was wrong and she approached like the rapiest teacher just by pure accident, or he was a rapey teacher all along. Those are the only two options.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I see that whole thing. I really want to say I care enough to go back, but I really don't.
No.
There's a key line in part 3 where he says he's the founder of the theater program. And what I would like to do is go back and see if I can correlate that line to something attributed to Kingsley, because I think that would seal it. I'm pretty sure you're right. And I don't know, man. Like,
but the things that don't line up is that he's got like an ex-wife and shit like that.
Right. So that he's not gay. I mean, we'll say he's not gay. He could be bisexual, as you said before. But yeah, he was like living with a dude. He's got a wife. I think he's got kids.
Yeah.
He lives in a well, now he does, granted it's 15 years later, but instead of some real spacious, mansion like structure, he just lives in a high rise apartment. And then my thought is, so fuck, man, back to this Manuel thing. Like, Sarah kind of thinks there might be some shit going on, right? And she tries to expose him by telling the students that, or telling the Manuel, I hope his name's Manuel's mom and sister that, that these are, whatever. I don't remember what she says, but anyway, she indicates that they're banging.
Manuel is the boyfriend of Mr. Kingsley, yeah.
Right. Yes. Yeah. She actually says that's his boyfriend.
But there was no Manuel.
Right. So why would Sarah? Why wouldn't Sarah tell this story a little straighter, where like one of the top teachers was just having sex with the younger girls? That I guess I'm trying to think of why the switch to gay with Manuel versus
he's
trying to tell a straighter story. Yeah, straighter, huh? Get it?
Yeah.
All right. Is there anything else you want to talk about this book? I have one more theory, and it didn't come up until you read me the list of sources that you.
No, I got nothing else.
The only thing that comes to mind on why this book would be so regarded, and when you named them, like there's a lot of heavily socially leaning. Well, but I say this, like, I think like this is a Me Too book. Like, if this did not have I mean, I don't know if I still don't think there's a story, but if there wasn't this Karen being molested, whatever, by a teacher kind of thing, I can't imagine this would have wound up on those lists. I almost feel like there's nothing to this story other than the fact that there's a victimization that happens that moves it onto some of those lists. Does what I'm saying make sense?
Yes, I see where you're coming from. I think that, like, man, I don't want to sound like this, but I've been trying to figure out why is this such an acclaimed book, and I understand the themes that the author was trying to focus on. A lot of victimization, a lot of like, like, honestly, like, if you ask me what this book is about, it's about the fact that you can be a willing victim. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And yeah. So like, that's what I walked away from it thinking, is like, if I was, a naive person, maybe a 16-year-old girl, 15-year-old girl, I would willingly do things that, like, I didn't realize were seriously harmful for me. And I think that's the theme of this book overall, is that, like, even though, like, I choose to do something, it's because I don't fully understand the consequences of what I want to do. Which, for probably people on the lists that we were reading from, resonates pretty heavily with what they experienced or what they had known someone who experienced or something like that. So yes, I think I agree with you, but it's not a perspective that I can identify with in any way personally.
Yeah, I'm looking through some of the 5-star reviews trying to find that thing, and I'm gonna be honest, I can't. Someone did say best of the year. That Grady Hicks.
Hey, Grady Hicks.
Best of the year. If Grady Hicks was the third host on Booked.
Let's get Grady Hicks on for 2020.
Yeah, I'd love to fucking ask that guy what he was thinking. He was another one. Best book I've read in ages. I love Susan Choi's work for 20 years. Mind-blowing to me. She can keep surprising, thrilling, and reinventing her writing so it's fresh surprise every time.
So,
it's genuine pleasure.
Here's a thought. This is the 5th book. And the 4 previous books have all like had some sort of like insane acclaim to them. So how much of this like fanfare do you think is just people who already love the oeuvre, you know?
Yeah.
Like continuing
there's
to
definitely something to be said for that. Yeah.
So, I don't know.
And that's the thing. This to me, and I'm probably going to address this in my wrap up. I would call this a slice of life book, right? Like all of it, very legitimate. These things happen. There were probably rumors at your high school that these things were happening. There were definitely rumors at mine.
Oh my God. Yeah. I can tell you the name of a person right now who fucked a teacher. I mean,
yeah. So, yeah. But that's what I'm saying. So I don't have, but I know there was one male teacher that was alleged to have had relations with multiple high school girls, but this was, whatever, locker room talk, for all intents and purposes.
Dude, my favorite English teacher married a girl that was in my grade.
Oh, good Lord. I guess we're on spoiler talk. I have an acquaintance. I mean, I don't want to, it's not someone I hang out with regularly. I'd say a friend. She married her 4th grade teacher.
Nice.
But like when she was in her 30s, like they met back up, whatever circumstance, whatever it was. And they, which is a little weird too. But I guess for me, these slice of life books just aren't that interesting. Like they're not. So
it resonates to the people that it's going to resonate to, and everybody else, it's just going to raise questions. Is how I look at it.
I feel that if this was a memoir, you and I talked about memoirs right before the podcast started. But if this was a memoir, I'd go, okay, well, this is something that actually happened to somebody. But you're writing a fictional tale about someone's boring life.
Yeah.
Like the whole part of writing fiction is to create a story that's engaging. And yes, there are a number of people that were engaged here. One of the It books in women's spring literary fiction, this deftly written, character illuminating novel. There are breathtaking passages of nearly poetic prose, particularly in the love story of David and Sarah. I didn't read the same book.
No, because I can't tell you how many times the word cunt was used.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's true too. Yeah. So at any rate, I guess these types of books aren't for me. But sometimes there are books that aren't for me, but I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. Like this one I just don't get.
The poignancy evades me.
Yeah.
For sure.
So at any rate.
So I want to thank everyone who checked in with the spoiler talk for this book. I don't think that we came out any more clear-headed about the book than we went in. Maybe we solved a few things, or maybe we just kind of like realized we were going through the same kind of confusion. Not sure, but it was absolutely a conversation that needed to be had in order to kind of solidify what happens next, which is going to be our wrap-ups in the normal episode.
Thanks again for being a Patreon through 2019. We look forward to bringing you a lot more of these in 2020. Thanks.